Expect to see new numbers to see exactly how many people have filed for unemployment in our state. The State Security Employment Office working through some 1 million new claims. Callie Greenberg standing by live this morning about what the department says it is learning from all of these new claims. Callie, good morning.
Good morning. Jake, it was just yesterday that Wallet Hub put out a report that was ranking cities with the largest unemployment growth since the coronavirus pandemic began. Seattle actually ranks #1 with about 106% increase from January to March in unemployment. Now, the Employment Security Department here in the state, they say every day things are getting a little bit better. They're simplifying the process. They understand people are frustrated. But what they're saying is what we're going through right now is something you really couldn't plan for.
Overall, a lot of people are learning a lot about unemployment insurance through this crisis who had never planned or intended to learn about it before.
The Employment Security Department says it plans to receive 1 million unemployment claims this week. People can send more than one claim, so that doesn't mean 1 million people are out of work. But Commissioner Susie Levine expects to see sizable unemployment growth in April compared to 5.1% in March.
During the recession in 2008-2009, we had an enormous increase, but we've already so far dwarfed that.
In 2009, unemployment hit 9.2% in Washington, but that was over time, unlike what we're seeing right now, where it's all happening at once.
Planning and preparing for maybe 2 times the volume, 3 times the volume, that's what we're for, is how you address economic shock. 10 times the volume, 12 times the volume, that is above and beyond what generally planned for.
She says the department is working around the clock. So far, it's distributed more than $1.5 billion. Still, the call center is overflowing with demand, and hundreds of thousands visit the website every day, as many work to navigate unemployment for the first time.
The flip side of that is that people are staying home, staying healthy, and thereby keeping more people alive.
So in the coming weeks, they're going to look at the unemployment percent for the month of April, see how it compares to numbers in the past. But just yesterday, the commissioner put out a note. She said once these boards start to come down, once businesses start to reopen, there could be unprecedented complexities with going back to work. She says right now, if you're unemployed and hanging out at home, what you can do is start to inform yourself on how you can get that process going to get back into the office. For now, live in Seattle, Callie Greenberg, King 5 News.
Thank you, Callie. Governor Jay Inslee is expected to talk about soaring food assistance needs this morning. Right now, more than 2 million people need access to food assistance programs in Washington, and food banks and pantries are struggling to meet the demand, with donations dropping by about 70%. The governor plans to talk about Washington's efforts to address demands, including the recent launch of the Washington Food Fund, which aims to keep food banks and pantries stocked. The stay-home order is changing the way renters find a new home, and it's becoming even harder for people to figure out what's legitimate online. King 5's Britt Moore takes a look at how the rental market is adjusting.
We average a fairly high amount of rental scams.
Ben Spalding with the Better Business Bureau says rental scams are pretty consistent in Western Washington, but add social distancing restrictions, and scammers are in their heyday.
What we're seeing is some of these listings have prices that are too good to be true, and normally residents who would see that and understand that, because their finances may be a little more vulnerable right now, they may go forward with a rental listing that they otherwise might not have.
Normally, renters can meet their new landlords and see their new homes in person before they sign their new lease. But that's not the case right now, which means renters need to be on their guard.
The more legitimate the operation, the lower risk of you encountering some sort of scam along the way.
Turns out the pandemic isn't putting a damper on the rental market. In fact, website traffic on Zillow.com is up.
Right now, renter traffic is about 5% above where we had forecasted to be prior to COVID.
Companies are adjusting to the times, and so are renters. Zillow just rolled out a new option to take a 3D virtual tour of a rental property. On top of that, landlords can now upload their leases and allow for online rent payments. Just one less worry for renters who want to make sure they're not dealing with a bogus listing.
I can't really predict the future, but for certain, people are making different housing choices right now.
With a future so uncertain, renters are becoming more specific about what they want, including looking for places that would allow for a larger work from home space.
Home has never been as important as it is right now.
Britt Moorer, King 5 News.
Well, Governor Jay Inslee did extend his stay-home order. It will extend past Monday's deadline. He has not yet given a new date. Here is why the governor says he thinks he needs to extend the stay-home order. While infection and death rates are declining, he believes there's still not adequate testing or a system in place to trace who patients have been in contact with. Nearly 200 people a day are still being diagnosed with coronavirus in the state.
We have to get these numbers down to a level where we have wrestled them down to the ground so we can move to the next phase of our recovery, the next phase of opening our business, and the next phase of how we really insulate and isolate people who are infected so they don't infect other people in the community.
Now, the governor says reopening the economy will roll out in phases. Kira Alfalin is following what the governor said yesterday. She'll have a live report coming up in about a half hour. In Spokane County, commissioners are asking the governor to start reopening businesses as soon as possible. Commissioners there sent the governor a letter urging him to reopen any retailer that can do curbside pickup, online ordering, or appointment-only options. That includes all medical appointments, car sales, landscaping, and home cleaners. Commissioners say the infection rate is lower than predicted in Spokane County. No response yet from the governor, but Inslee did not address Spokane in particular, but does say officials are studying the idea of a regional approach to reopening.
So I'm not advocating just on behalf of my husband. I'm advocating on all my friends.
New this morning, Cowlitz County health officials say 16 employees at a Foster Farms plant in southwest Washington tested positive for coronavirus, and so far health officials have tested 121 of the 600 employees at the Kelso facility. They're also working with Foster Farms to keep both workers and the meat safe. Foster Farms says it's following the CDC's guidance in protecting employees. New overnight, a Walmart store near Boston now shut down after nearly 24 employees tested positive for coronavirus. The Worcester city manager said 23 employees of the store tested positive for COVID-19 over the past 3.5 weeks. The store will have to remain closed until it can be professionally cleaned. Authorities say all 400 employees will have to be tested or, in some cases, retested.
With dentist offices closed because of the outbreak, a Portland-based nonprofit is stepping in to help. Medical Teams International is offering emergency dental services for those experiencing homelessness or living in unstable living conditions. In Snohomish County today, the clinics will be held at the Linwood Food Bank and Alderwood Community Church. And in King County, services are at Transform Burien Community Resource Center. Well, the Make-A-Wish Foundation helped a New Mexico teen give back in a big way. 17-year-old Sam Neal was diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma at just age 15. Sam's wish to give back to all the healthcare workers who took care of him. The community rallied and put together kits for the people on the front lines of the virus. They contain things like personal hygiene items and gift cards. His goal was 100 kits, but they ended up collecting more than 200 for the healthcare workers. And probably the best news of all, he is in remission this morning. So some good news there. Everybody doing what they can to help and try and thank those healthcare workers.
Even kids, like teenagers, do that too.
Yeah.
That's really neat to see.